Hello, my name is Erica, and I'm the Dyslexic Trekkie. I had a video all set up. I had done the recording. I had finished the audio editing. I am nearly done with the slideshow cut. And then I heard the unfortunate news that Nichols had passed away. Because of my job, I don't have the option to just start recording and go. To put a video out of anything like quality, it takes a lot more time. So I knew I was going to have to wait until I finished my second day of work to be able to record anything. So this is, as you probably noticed, an off script. I thought so long about what I could do because by now, what hasn't already been said? Everybody's talked about how she met Martin Luther King Jr. and how he encouraged her to stay in Star Trek. They've talked about Whoopi Goldberg being inspired by her being a black woman on television who's not a maid, and all the different scientists and astronauts who became such because of her promotion of women of color going into the sciences and going into aeronautics. Anything that I say on those things feels like I'm just repeating everybody, and as important as it is, it starts to lose its feeling after a while, even though I do feel deeply that those parts of what she did is so important. I've talked about the impact Geordie LaForge had on me as a kid, seeing somebody I could relate to and seeing somebody who I could look at and find something of myself. Even if we didn't look alike, even if our issues weren't the same, they were the same enough for me to find that connection. But for Geordie LaForge to exist, Lieutenant Uhura had to exist first. And she was the hero of so many people's lives. To know somebody made that much of an impact on the world just by doing something she did love. Acting says something about us finding our passion and doing something that can touch other people's lives in the process. Sometimes the most important thing you can do is be authentically yourself and do what everybody told you you can't do anyway. And that's what Lieutenant Uhura was, though in the story, in her lifetime, she didn't break that many grounds. She was just a person who went into Starfleet. We now know wasn't even all that sure she wanted to go into Starfleet. And she became exceptional just by being herself. Now, Nichols is one of the few Star Trek actors I got to see in person. She came to a Star Trek convention in the mid-90s when I was going to school, and I saw her in person. And everybody asked the same questions they always ask. But somebody asked how she felt with being equated to Lieutenant Uhura because, let's face it, we all see our actors as the characters and then who they really are. It's just a reality of being in science fiction. And she said something I thought was really beautiful. She said she could look at her family line and see how Lieutenant Uhura might be related to her, and being able to play a descendant of her family line was an honor, and Lieutenant Uhura was a beautiful person. And I liked that idea. She could see her family in the future being a part of Uhura's line. It's that connection we make in Star Trek. People get on the case of Star Trek for retconning all the events from happening further and further down the line, that the eugenics war started in the 90s and now they're talking about it happening in the 2030s or 40s, and the World War and the war all happening roughly 20 to 30 years from now, and it's always perpetually 20 to 30 years from now. But I think there's a real reason why we do that. As soon as we admit that they had to have already happened, but they didn't happen here, it's no longer our future. It's a different timeline's future. And that means Star Trek isn't possible. And as long as we can retcon things that's happening still in the future, there's that possibility that Star Trek could be our future. And I don't mean the Klingons and the Vulcans and the Romulans. I mean us finding a way to get along. Us having the chance where we can genuinely look past our differences and see our qualities. We talk about it, we make lip service about it, and the right has usurped that idea as a way of justifying not recognizing inequality. But the reality is, maybe one day, we'll get to the point where that is our future. where our friends are just our friends, and those things are there. We recognize them, we love them, but we're all just people. We're not even close to that yet. But maybe, as long as we think of Star Trek as being our future, we can continue working that way. Another thing I like to say is something that has to do actually with when my grandma died. I don't believe relationships end. I don't believe they ever truly stop. They simply change and grow. And one of the hardest and most painful growths that can happen is a relationship that develops after a person dies. They're still a part of our lives. They may not be alive, but who they were in our life is still there. And they live through our memory and how we incorporate what we learned from them into our lives. And the way I see it, it's now our job to take the very best parts of who we loved and incorporate them into who we are. So when it's our time to pass, that next generation does the same thing. And on some level, even if their name gets forgotten, their impact never gets forgotten. Now think about that from the perspective of somebody like Nichelle Nichols. All the people that she touched through Star Trek, through promoting women in science, through simply being a genuinely good human being. Imagine everybody who she touched, who know that she touched their lives, choosing to take the best parts of what they know about her and passing that on in how they live their lives. Imagine the difference that would make. It's our job now to carry that on. Thank you for watching. If you like this subject, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any thoughts, feelings, or ideas on this subject, please share in the comments below. Again, my name is Erica, and I'm the Dyslexic Trekkie.